recently heard a saying that said something like, clarity comes with action, not from the hours of planning, drawing, researching, thinking, etc. And I think I gained a few brain cells when I heard that, because that is exactly what I've been experiencing between YouTube, this channel, and video editing, etc., and the van build that we currently have ongoing, because most of the time we gain the most clarity in hindsight. Isn't that annoying? That's just annoying. But yeah, we try to do a lot of research as much as we can beforehand, and it isn't till sometimes we actually just make something, like mock up something like a box. We like fabricated little cardboard boxes that looked like the electrical components so that we could lay them out and understand how much space we'd actually need. We also just hung our upper cabinet today, which is really cool, that we made out of extruded aluminum. It was very satisfying because I think it was a complicated spot. Like, the van there's no flat walls. So that's tricky in its own right. But also we wanted it to be a very specific height and to serve a certain function. So that just took a lot of tinkering and measuring back and forth. And we sort of started by committing to just cutting some of the material we have, knowing that we might have to throw it out and recut it. And I think we kind of didn't have to do that too much. For the most part, it was pretty close to accurate. But regardless, we were not going to be able to solve this issue, make this thing work by just drawing it in AutoCAD or SketchUp or whatever, or drawing it on paper like I prefer. I'm really good at drawing 3D on paper. We knew that the only way to figure it out was if we just built something, hung it up, sort of tried to hang it up, and just took a million measurements. And then we finally were successful. So that felt really good. That's what we did today. That's why I'm in the car now celebrating with you. Other than that, we've had a million things where we have just learned so much in hindsight of maybe what we would order differently or less of or more of. And when it comes to YouTube, I've been stuck. I haven't been posting for a few weeks for a number of reasons. I think YouTube's been stressing me out, not you guys, but my own inner world, because things like, one, I have I have a video that's doing quite well, and it's introducing a lot of people to the channel here, so welcome if you're new. But also, I'm not living in my SUV camper anymore, and that's where a lot of people found me from. Now I'm building out a van, and I don't even know what the plan is once we're done. I don't know if we're going to live in it full time yet, so I am scared out of my mind of what this channel will turn into. You know, it's still going to be me, of course, but it's content about my life, and my life is changing faster than I can even keep up with. So it's just kind of scary when you start to build your income and your business around your own life and how much that you have no control over. So I appreciate you if you're here just to hang out with me, because I am me and you're doing your dishes and you just need someone to hang out with. That's great. And if you like alternative living, you know, that is definitely a passion of mine. Solo travel is a passion of mine. All the things that this channel is started on are all still things that I love and want to incorporate into my life, but I just don't know what it's going to look like. And I think that's kind of giving me a bit of fear when it comes to posting. And I also have noticed myself thinking a lot about performance, especially now that I'm incorporating more partnerships with my channel, because it is becoming something that can sustain itself and become a full-time job. It's not my full-time job. I have other sources of income as well, because I also like the freedom to not rely on every video being sponsored and stuff. All the brands I've partnered with have given me so much creative freedom, so I really appreciate that. But I do think it's made me think more analytically about my content. I think also just having more people, more eyes on my content makes me think more about sort of the box I'm in, or like how I package a YouTube video to publish, and the more technical side versus just making something because I thought of it. So I do want to come back to that a bit, and I think that's why I'm sitting here today in the car, because there's a part of me that thinks I should be perfectly titling some video about me doing another step on the van build, but I just can't. I was looking at this footage of us doing the welding portion where we frame out part of the van walls to support what will become some upper bunks later. So we wanted to reinforce the very, very thin metal that is the van. And there was other footage where I was tackling the swivel seat, something that I thought would take like an hour, but had like a million modifications that I really wish they had warned me about when I was purchasing it. Regardless, I was looking at the footage, literally asking myself, I was so stuck. I was like, what does this mean? What does it mean that we attached metal to a metal tin can? I don't know. I don't know the meaning. I don't know what to title it. I don't know what the story is. I don't know why you should watch it. So I just couldn't bring myself to just plop it out into the internet, not knowing why you should watch it. You know, I don't want to waste your time, but I think ultimately, and I know the reason I watch YouTube and why I follow the people that I follow is because I just want to hang out with them. I want to know what's going on in their life, and I just think it's interesting, and it's just sometimes you want company while you're folding your laundry. So I didn't want views and numbers and analytics and stuff like that to get in the way of our friendship. So that's why I'm here in the car. Another reason why I'm here in the car is because I actually am living in the shop. We are living in the shop that we are renting to do our van because we don't have anywhere else that we're living. All of our stuff is here. We were living in the same city, but on the other side of town. So we knew that we would be spending really long days working on the van. So it just kind of felt like, yeah, if we're going to be there all day and need to eat and get home late and barely be at this other place that we were living at, what if we just lived in the shop like a shouse, which is kind of a dream of ours to have a shouse one day, you know, a shop house. Some people call them barn dominiums. I've heard that too. So that kind of felt like a cool idea. And this specific shop has a loft area in it. It wasn't built out to be lived in, but somehow the landlord here was somewhat agreeable to the concept. I think, you know, we have all our teeth. I think that's literally what he said. That's that we have all our teeth. So we're going to be good tenants. I can imagine if you're renting out shop spaces on the outskirts of town that you might get some interesting people coming your way. Anyways, so when we first got the shop, we spent almost 2 weeks creating more of a living space. There's the one room that has a door. That's our bedroom kind of office area where we store stuff that we definitely don't want to get dusty, but everything gets dusty in this shop anyways. And then the other side of the loft has a more open concept. There's like a half wall, but we put up a curtain, sort of for privacy, but also for dust control. And also at first, we did not necessarily tell everyone that we were living in it. We kind of acted like maybe we'd crash there, or we just didn't at all. We would get up so early. This is embarrassing. There's 2 other people that share this shop space with us, and they're there for different reasons, hobby/side hustle type things. But a lot of times they would get there maybe for 8 a.m. And we used to make sure every morning that we were up before they got there, make sure the lights were turned on. But ultimately it was like, yeah, they're gonna know our cars don't move. Like, we're here all of the time. We're here late and we're here early. So we kind of just slowly became, once we got to know them, they got to know us and think that we weren't crazy people, be more honest about our situation. So living in the shop, yeah, it's a journey of its own. Like the fact that we're not only building a van, which we've never done before, and we're holding ourselves to very high standards with it, we are also living in a very alternative living space. We don't have a shower. There is a toilet on the lot here, so that's nice. But, you know, you have to walk outside. We brought plumbing upstairs. There's already plumbing in the downstairs area of the shop. So we brought that upstairs so we could have a kitchen area. But it doesn't drain. It drains into a bucket. And then we have to dump that elsewhere. And, yeah, you know, it's loud sometimes. That's why I'm in the car, because inside there will be like buzzing and whirring from them working on other vehicles. Or I also just am too nervous to talk to you on the camera in front of public people. I think it's getting a bit dark. When I start to tell people around me in my life that I live in the shop, some people think it's interesting, their responses. Some people get it. Some people just get it and think it's cool, and they understand the hustle and that we're trying to save money and afford the van build that we're doing, and just we're here for very focused amount of time in a short time. And also that if we're going to be living in a van, we're not going to be having a shower in the van. We're not going to be able to drain into the city plumbing sewer system in the van. So really this is a good step towards tiny living, but there are some people that, yeah, they just say they couldn't imagine it, or they just sound very shocked. So it's an interesting choice, but I think that's probably what people hear when they tell them they live in a van anyways. So yeah, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes that I've been kind of dying to share with you so that you have a bit more context about why I'm not always the most consistent on social media. And it's my life, it's what I think about all the time. I make videos about outdoor adventuring and stuff, but I spend a lot more time learning about social media and YouTube, and I'm fascinated by the topics, and I went to school for marketing, so it's really cool to me, but I don't want to become a channel that's like, this is how you grow on YouTube, because there's enough of those. But I also know that there's probably a lot of creators that watch videos, or my videos. I don't know. I don't want to make any bold claims, but I know some of you make your own videos, you've told me. So I do kind of like the idea of sharing a bit more behind the scenes of how this all comes together. It is my lifestyle as a whole, so it's hard to separate it out and just pretend that I don't run back and forth to press record on the camera, when I'm hiking. A lot of people think I secretly have someone there filming me, but I in fact have walked very long distances to get a shot, because the further you walk away, the more impressive it can feel, I also think there's probably some people that wonder how one can afford this alternative lifestyle where I'm not working a 9 to 5, where I can afford a van, which honestly I wouldn't be able to afford it this way. My build would be very different. In fact, it was very different if I were single and alone doing this. You've seen it. It's the SUV camper. That's probably what I would have, because that's about I don't even know, an eighth of the work that we're doing, and so much more simple and much more affordable than what we're doing now. And I don't want anyone to think that they have to have a YouTube channel in order to live nomadically. There's so many different jobs that people do remotely, and seasonal work and stuff like that. I've talked before about how I make money, I think, in my Q&A video. I'll link it up in the YouTube verse here, so you can go watch that. But between multiple sources of income... Oh, I'm getting a phone call. One moment. Hello. Anyways, between multiple sources of income, I don't know what I was saying. I have no idea. I can lie, pretend I knew what I was saying, but I don't know what I was saying. I don't know what I've just said. I'm definitely a very entrepreneurial spirit. I have my rental income properties that I've talked about before. That's also something that I've not shared much on this channel about, and I don't really know if I will or should or could. I love fixer-uppers. I love sharing house update stuff, and that is something that I know will come up more, because as the houses get older, I will have work to do on them, and that's kind of what most of that rental income goes towards. I already had to buy a new eaves trough this winter because the snow ripped it off the house, so I don't generally consider that my full income, and that's why we're trying to keep expenses really low lately with the shop and just our general lifestyle. But with the YouTube channel, I am monetized now, which is amazing. It's actually starting to feel like a legitimate career. I think for a long time I didn't feel confident calling myself a content creator, and definitely not an influencer. I do not like that word. I think a lot of us don't. But working with brands has been a really cool thing for the van. We've been able to get products for the build that otherwise I don't know that we would have, or we would have not gotten the level of quality that we're going to get. So that's been amazing to sort of leverage my content making and my marketing degree that I spent 4 years getting. It's just been really cool to partner with other people. I think otherwise I spend a lot of time working alone. So just cool to collaborate with team members from other businesses. And I've also taken on social media clients outside of my own work, just to help other people pursue their projects and dreams, etc. So that's been a good little way to make some extra money. And we've even been doing kind of more horse trading with other services. There's someone near our shop that does upholstery, and so he's going to help us do the wall panels, something that we probably could manage on our own, but it would have taken an entire week. So, and they'll be much better quality with someone that knows what they're doing and has the proper space to do it, and tools, and etc. So we're really excited to be working with him and helping him. He just opened his business, so we're helping him build a website and work on his social media and stuff like that. So it's just been a very interesting time. I don't always feel like I have a lot of money to spend. I spend a lot of time stressing about money, and I'm trying to kind of go cold turkey on that and just be maybe delusional about it and just be like, it's fine. We'll be rich later and everything will work out. And I think most likely I will look back and wish that I hadn't spent so much time stressing over a couple $100s here and there every time we have to buy something, and just enjoy the process a bit more, because I think the financial investment is the most stressful part of this for me. The van build in itself is very overwhelming. It's a really big project, and there's a lot that we don't feel confident when we're doing it. But ultimately, I think we know with some trial and error that we can figure it out. Yeah. It has gotten significantly darker outside since I started filming this, and also colder. But we will continue. There's definitely something to say for paying someone to build you a van. We've thought about that more as we're doing it ourselves with how much time it's taken. It's taking a lot longer than we anticipated, or maybe just a lot more life commitment. Like, we don't really have much of a social life. We don't really do or think about anything else other than the van, and it feels like an absolute weight on us, which sounds maybe a bit heavy, but but I think we're excited to have it finished so that we can just start living our life again and focusing on all of the other dreams that we have, but also trying to enjoy the process, because there was a version of me that would have been so excited to know that she was building out a van. And I know there's still a part of me that has that in me, especially if I start talking about it to someone else and I'm not just like in the trenches of dealing with tiny itsy bitsy problems, or an eighth of an inch that way and a quarter of an inch that way. And can you hear that banging? What are they doing? If I were someone that made $100,000 a year or something and could afford to pay someone, then I don't know that I would. I think I really enjoy the process of learning all the various skills. There's so many different trades that go into a van, and so many things that we would love to learn. We would have loved to learn welding. And in fact, the guy that helped us do the welding on our van, his dad's been welding for years and years, and they offered to teach us. So maybe we'll take them up on that one day. But there just isn't time to learn all the skills we need. So it has been important to embrace hiring other people, especially if it's someone that can benefit from the things I'm naturally, or, the things I've spent time building skills at, so that we have a better end product. We don't drive ourselves mad, and this doesn't take 4 years to finish. Because ultimately, I think we thought we'd be a lot further along here, but for my sanity, it's been important to make sure we are incorporating other healthy lifestyles. And, I do my volunteering, and I've taken on kind of extra work to help me reduce the stress of the expenses that we are facing, and being a normal provider of things to society. Nice lighting. Cool. That looks good, right? I think I'm starting to lose brain cells again. I don't know if this is making sense. Yeah, I think ultimately there's a reason why custom van builds are expensive, and there's a lot of good reasons to do it yourself, but there's also a lot of good reasons to pay someone, because this is hard. I think the sun setting is a good time for me to sign off, but I really wanted to check in with you and share a little bit more about what's going on, and just be honest about what this van build has been like for me, because I'm never going to be a how-to channel or share like the step-by-step. I don't even know if that would be the most responsible thing for me to do given my level of experience. And I think that's why there's a lot of times when we even want to find an answer on the internet, it's like the hard part where we're really dying to know what other people have done is when they've turned the camera off, probably because they've done something a little janky, or that they just didn't have the brain capacity to film. So I know the best thing I can offer is some insight to what this little life is like, what it's like to build a van. In summary, it is stressful, and I'm trying to enjoy the process as much as I can, because like I said, I know there's a past version of me that would think this is super duper cool, and present me also thinks it's very cool. So doing my best to find balance and take you along for the journey, and hopefully me just existing here today is positive for your day. I don't know. What are your expectations? Let me know. I'll do my best.